What's going on, Halos family? Well, today, guys, I think it was probably a couple months ago that we made a pizza dough recipe, and we didn't really like the way it came out because we're still kind of learning how to operate our camera and kind of how to get things together to make things look good for you guys. So we're gonna redo it. It's one of our I would say it's one of our famous family pizza doughs for sure.
Yeah, I've been working on this recipe for 4 years. So for me, I've switched flours and measurements and stuff to fit our family. So I'm really excited because we've tested it on our family many, many times. And we eat pizza like twice a week anyway. So I make pizza a lot. So I feel like it's a good, easy recipe to get started with, and anybody can make it.
Yeah, we eat pizza a lot. That's why I'm trying to get in shape, and the only shape that seems to be working out for me is a circle.
Right here. Right there, baby.
Whatever.
He's well fed.
Yeah.
Anyway, we should probably get started. Alright guys, so I have two KitchenAids. This one is the 4.5 quart. It's a smaller one. It's used for smaller projects such as cookies, muffins. I don't really suggest bread with it. It seems kind of small. The motor's not as big, especially when you need to knead a lot of things. But here's the attachment. It comes with a dough hook and a paddle attachment. It also has a whisk, which I have mine put away. This is for the other one, but it's the same thing, but just smaller. And so this one on Amazon is $199.99. I do suggest getting a KitchenAid. However, if you want to make pizza dough or breads or rolls or something, I suggest you guys go with this one. This is the 6 quart. It's got a bigger motor, a bigger bowl. It really works much, much better when you need to knead dough. You'll see when I show you when we get everything in the mixer and we are making the dough, and I'll show you how it kneads around. It just is so much better. And you can get this guy on Amazon for $349.99. They have a ton of colors, so if gray is not your thing and you like hot pink, I think they have that color on there too. So make sure you guys go and check them out. I'll put a link in the description box below, and you can go check out either one of those, but it's worth spending the extra $150 to get the big one because this guy will definitely pay off in the long run. And you can also order extra attachments. We also have the meat grinder for this, so we can actually grind our own meat. We've done it many, many times with chicken, and it's really come in handy. So the big motor on this is definitely worth it. So anyway, let's get started. I'm gonna get our ingredients in a bowl and let's start making some pizza. We're gonna get ready and we're gonna add all of our ingredients into our mixing bowl. But first I wanted to show you what ingredients I use for my pizza dough because there's 5 of them. Let's get started. So I picked this up at the local grocery store. Usually I buy my yeast at Costco. I think it's called Red Star. And you get, I think it's about 2 pounds worth of yeast, and I just keep it in our fridge. But my local Costco's been out of it, so I just had to run over to Albertsons and buy some of this. But you want to use about 2 1/4 teaspoons if you buy it in a big jar, or 1 packet of dry yeast from your grocery store. Second thing I always use honey in my pizza dough. I buy this at Costco. You cannot beat the price because it's raw and unfiltered. I don't know, I prefer just using honey over white sugar. You know, they always say bad things about white sugar, so I prefer to use honey in my pizza dough. So this is the flour that I use. Sorry for the bag being upside down. Oscar opened it the wrong way.
Yeah, my wife said open it up, and I didn't even really care, so I just opened it. So sorry about that, guys.
Anyway, so I use high gluten flour. It really helps with the elasticity in the dough. If in a pinch, you can always use all-purpose flour. It doesn't always, stretch as good, but in a pinch you can definitely use it. So anyway, let's start activating our yeast. I have 2 1/4 teaspoons of yeast in this bowl. It's also equivalent to 1 packet that you can buy in the grocery store. So you drop that in there. And then next you'll want to mix your honey and your hot water. Your hot water needs to be about 110, 120 degrees. And I just give this a little stir in here just to kind of dissolve the honey. just like that. So then you don't have like big clumps of honey in there. Next, you just dump it all in there. Right. All right, so this has to sit for about 10 minutes or so. I'll show you what it looks like in 10 minutes. As you can see, it's already starting to activate. You can see the little clumps in there, and you'll start to see it kind of bubble up. That's how you know that your yeast is activating. So anyway, we will see you guys back in 10 minutes, and I'll show you what it looks like. All right, guys, as you can see, you can see the yeast kind of bubbling up. That's exactly what you want. You want it to look kind of foamy on top. That tells me that my yeast is, eating all the sugars. And so we'll give it just a couple more minutes to keep coming up, and then we'll add in our flour. Okay, so my yeast has been sitting for about 10 minutes, and as you can see, it was nice and foamy on top. Now, the next thing to do is I have 7 cups of flour. I've carefully leveled it off in one cup scoops. I add all my flour into the bowl all at the same time. I don't add 1 cup at a time. I've measured it so many times that I just know 7 cups works with this recipe. So I go ahead, dump all my flour into the bowl, just like this. And then I also have 2 teaspoons of salt, right on in. We'll get this guy in here, and then we'll let him mix on low. For a few minutes, we'll just kind of watch as the dough pulls away from the mixer. I'll let this mix for a few minutes, and then as it starts to pull away, I'll show you what it looks like so you guys can see what it needs to look like and how it needs to knead for about 5 minutes. So we'll be back in just a second, and I'll show you what it looks like. All right, guys, well, look who decided to wake up, so I guess he's gonna help finish my pizza dough recipe here. So anyway, I've added in my 7 cups of flour. I did have to add about a 1/4 cup more. Sometimes, it's kind of weird. Sometimes you need a little bit more, but start with like 1/4 cups. If your dough seems too sticky, don't add more than that. So this is what you want your dough to look like. You can tell it's a little sticky, but not too sticky, not enough to be sticking to your hands. And you're gonna wanna let it just knead, just like this. You see how it's pulling away from the side of the bowl? I call that perfect pizza dough because that's exactly what you want. And it's just gonna do its thing for about 5 minutes or so, and then I'll show you what the next step is. I don't want you to have to sit here and watch it and like listen to me talk over my mixer. So we'll come back in a few minutes and I'll show you what it looks like and how to get it ready to rise for a little bit, and we'll be back in a minute. Well, guys, my dough has been now kneading in...
Excuse me.
My dough has now been kneading in the mixer for about 5 minutes or so. And as you can see, it's a real good consistency. It's a little sticky, but that's okay because sometimes you need to add a little bit of flour when you put it on the cutting board. And so if you add too much, then it tends to dry out. So next up, I'm going to try to do this as good as I can with
Here, I can do it, babe. I can do it.
Here, I can do it. No, I'm good.
You got it?
I'm good. So just spray your bowl with some cooking spray. Of course, I buy this at Costco. You get 2 huge bottles, and so we always buy this one. It works great, so that's the one I use. And then we'll take this out. I swear I can do this much faster when I'm not holding a baby in the other hand. So anyway, so go ahead, take your dough out. As you can tell, it's a little sticky, but that's okay. You want it like that. Make sure you get these little bits out of the bowl. So as you can tell, it does make a fair amount of dough. If you guys are a family of 3 or a family of 4 and you have like little kids and you're like, that's too much dough, go ahead and cut it in half and just freeze the other half. It works perfect. Just let it sit out at room temperature for a couple of hours and it'll rise on its own and it's perfect. If you have a bigger family like us, we got 5 kids and a family of 7, we need all of this dough and sometimes it's not even enough. So anyway, so what you want to do, just kind of get it in a bowl, just like this. And then plop it in your bowl. You're gonna wanna cover it with some plastic wrap and let it sit for about an hour, hour and a half, depending on how hot your house is. Here in California, our house is what, 78 right now? 75, somewhere around there. So it's pretty warm. My dough's gonna rise fast. If you're on the East Coast and say it's like 0 outside, you might wanna turn your oven on low and just let it sit over there to help it rise. It's probably gonna take more like an hour and a half, 2 hours. So anyway, just go ahead, we'll cover it with some plastic wrap and let it sit and cover for about an hour, and then I'll show you what it looks like at the very end. And that's how we make our pizza dough. Are you tired? All right, guys, we'll see you back here in a few minutes after it's risen about an hour or so, and we'll show you what it looks like. All right, guys, so my dough has finished rising. Of course, it wasn't gonna take an hour and a half today. It's very warm here in Southern California. So this is what it looks like. As you can see how nice and soft it is, how pliable it is. That's exactly what you want it to be like. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed my video on how to make pizza dough. Super simple, 5 ingredients. I want to let you guys know, I'm going to put a link in the description box. We are actually having pizza night and we're going to make barbecue chicken pizza with this pizza dough. So I'm going to put a link there. You guys can watch that video after this one and you get to see how we build our own pizzas and cook them in our brand new pizza oven outside. So stay tuned for that. Thanks again for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share down below. See you next time. Bye.